nigga known with the strap, man. Don't cap or your ass going cap, man. You never mix business with new friends. Get booked, then cook by the crack, man. You gon' make a nigga slide with my jacks, man. With a pump that'll leave a nigga flat dead. Put that bitch to his shit and shoot again. Face shots, make a op do a back bend.
At 10, a 13-year-old boy is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries after being shot in the shoulder. It happened just before 5 this evening inside a home on Market Street in Joliet. The boy was taken to St. Joseph Medical Center before being airlifted to Loyola Medical Center in Maywood. We don't know what led up to the shooting.
Breaking news from Joliet, a 13-year-old boy is now facing charges, accused in a shooting that injured another 13-year-old boy. The victim was shot in the shoulder yesterday inside a house on Market Street and had surgery. We're told he is in critical but stable condition. The 13-year-old has been taken to the Will County River Valley Justice Center. Police say they recovered the gun that was used.
Police say that 13-year-old boy was rushed here in critical condition. A neighbor who lives next to where he was discovered told us he heard a flurry of gunfire.
The shooting left this block draped in crime tape and neighbors with unanswered questions.
A little overwhelmed to hear what happened. It's sad. I'm hurt. You know, I feel for whoever the family is.
Police say a little before 3 p.m. in the 8200 block of South Coles, officers discovered a 13-year-old boy wounded by gunfire. He'd been shot in the head.
They're saying the victim's going to be on the side of the house. We don't have a description of the shooter. I have no further at this time. It looks like they're trying to do CPR.
Nathaniel King says he heard a barrage of gunfire.
But I didn't know it was right here next to my door, and I didn't know that. And that was shocking to me.
He says the boy was found unresponsive in this gangway next to his home.
He didn't look like no gang member or something like that. He didn't look like that. He looked like somebody was just getting out of school. Seriously.
The shooting happened steps from the CPS Charter High School, but it doesn't appear the victim was old enough to be a student there. He was found around dismissal time. Police have not said what led to the gunfire, adding to the mystery for neighbors on this block with young children.
13 years old, that's a baby.
Police spent much of the evening on that block and were seen going door to door for surveillance video.
Breaking news here, a 13-year-old boy has been shot on Chicago's South Side. These are pictures now from Chopper 7. This is the scene at 82nd and Coles. Take a look here. All of this happening just before about 3 o'clock here, right down the block from Epic Academy. We're told the boy was shot in the head and he was taken to Comer Children's Hospital in critical condition. And we will have more developments on the story coming up on our news tonight at 6.
Year-old fighting for his life in the hospital from a shooting. We're learning what happened.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 9.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Leslie Moreno filling in for Don today. A boy is fighting for his life. He was shot earlier today. Our Joni Lum is live at Comer Children's Hospital with more on his condition. Joni.
Leslie, Area 2 detectives have been here at the hospital investigating the same investigators who collected evidence and interviews at the scene on the south side. The 13-year-old boy remains in critical condition, a source telling me he was shot twice, once in the head. Police responded to the 8200 block of South Coles Avenue in South Chicago at about 2:50 this afternoon. It is a residential area next to Epic Academy, a public charter high school. They found a 13-year-old with a gunshot wound to the head, and he was transported to Comer Children's Hospital. Area 2 detectives stayed on that scene for several hours. A law enforcement source told me that police do have someone in custody and they are questioning them. Meanwhile, that 13-year-old remains in critical condition here, shot once in the head. At Comer Children's Hospital, Joni Lum, Fox Chicago.
We have an update now on the investigation into a deadly shooting that happened last October on the city's south side. Police arrested two men yesterday, 19-year-old Omarion Roberson and 32-year-old Jarvis Bell. This afternoon, they're facing felony murder charges. Prosecutors say the pair shot and killed a 16-year-old and 17-year-old boy at an apartment building near 81st and Marshfield back on October 22nd. A 21-year-old man was also shot in the arm.
Two men are now charged with killing two teens and injuring a third person. Omarion Roberson and Jarvis Bell were arrested last night by U.S. Marshals. They're charged with shooting and killing a 16-year-old and 17-year-old boys, both of them last October on Marshfield Avenue. A third man was shot and wounded. Roberson and Bell are due in court today.
A new surveillance video just into our newsroom shows people crashing their way into a gas station at 43rd and State in Chicago. We're told employees were actually inside the store just before 5 o'clock this morning when those thieves used that Jeep to ram through the business's front doors. They stole the ATM and then took off in another car and left that Jeep behind. The clerk says no one inside the gas station was hurt. So far, no arrests have been made.
And we have new video this morning showing damage from a gas station crash and grab. This is at 43rd and State. A clerk tells us employees were inside the store just before 5 this morning when thieves used a Jeep to ram through the business. They stole the ATM, took off in a getaway car, and left the Jeep behind. You can see major damage to this store with front bricks missing, windows broken, and frames bent. The clerk says no one inside the gas station was hurt.
We have some disturbing new details today coming out of a court hearing for a Gage Park woman charged in the murder of her own daughter. The arrest report indicated the mother stabbed the nearly 2-month-old baby to death. Our Marissa Sulik was at that hearing today and explains exactly why the mom wasn't present in court.
Tatiana Maxwell, the mom accused of murdering her baby daughter, was not in court today because Chicago police say she is still in the hospital getting a psychological evaluation. However, we did learn some gruesome details about how this all played out. It happened inside this Gage Park apartment complex around 7 Friday morning. Attorneys say 25-year-old Tatiana Maxwell, the baby named Nynea Stovall, and the biological father were inside. They say she took her daughter out of the bassinet and threatened to hurt her. Attorneys say she at one point barricaded herself in the apartment. They say she ended up stabbing the baby in the chest, which killed her, before Maxwell jumped out the second-floor apartment window. They say shortly after, she apologized for committing the act, saying she did not mean it and asked for forgiveness. Police say a knife was recovered at the scene. Maxwell has a full detention hearing tomorrow. It's still not clear if she will be present in the courtroom for that or not. Outside the Cook County Criminal Courthouse, Marissa Sulik, CBS News, Chicago.
Marissa, thanks. Police say Maxwell was taken to University of Chicago Medical Center, where she is expected to survive.
A weekend graduation turned into chaos in the south suburbs.
One high school's special moment was disrupted when guests started fighting and police had to step in.
Jermont Terry is live at Thornwood High School with the video you'll see only on CBS News Chicago. Jermont?
Joe and Erica, this graduation was held outside, and the only worry the class of 2026 should have had was maybe the windy conditions. But as you mentioned, instead, people in the stands started fighting, bringing this happy ceremony to a halt.
Please, parents, return to the stands. Graduates, please take your seats. We have not completed the ceremony at this time, please.
The seniors at Thornwood High in South Suburban South Holland could not keep their attention on the stage after a brawl broke out while their names were getting called. South Holland city leaders tell CBS Chicago at the commencement on the football field, a physical altercation occurred among a group of attendees. In this video, you see several people running, throwing punches, including someone in a cap and gown.
This graduation is out of control.
Parents and friends in the stand say they tried waiting out the commotion. Many wanted to see their senior cross the stage. But some parents told me despite having security at the graduation, they did not feel safe sticking around. In this video, you see graduates leaving during the ceremony. South Holland leaders say this doesn't reflect the community, so it was disheartening that at such a meaningful occasion dedicated to honoring the achievements of our young people, the actions of a few guests disrupted what should have been a joyful milestone. Police did detain people at the graduation, but we're told no one was arrested or charged. The village goes on to say, we are grateful that situation was resolved quickly and without serious incident. Now, city leaders tell us that the graduation did continue. However, parents that we talked to off camera insisting that they didn't even announce the class of 2026 to the crowd. So there was some hesitation and or interruption at this graduation. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured in this melee. Reporting live in South Holland tonight, Jermont Terry, CBS News, Chicago.
Jermont, thanks.
We'll talk about a high-dollar discovery. The Cook County Sheriff's Retail Crime Unit says it recovered $1.5 million worth of stolen laptop computers. Investigators found these in a trailer that was reported stolen in Bridgeview. They say the thieves, they think at least, were hoping to cash in big on the secondary market. Since launching in 2023, this unit has found more than $10 million in stolen merchandise.
Police came back out to the scene, canvassing the neighborhood, trying to figure out exactly who set this house on fire. We've learned an 8-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy died.
Tried to keep them calm, level-headed, told them just breathe.
Kadarius Wilson recounts the moments he rescued 2 teens from the burning home. He thought he was driving to see his friend, but soon realized he was on the wrong block. He got out, heard dogs barking, and saw the fire.
By the time I moved around to the back, I seen two boys trying to get out from the top. I pulled the gate, yanked the gate from out the ground to get to the back of the yard, and I caught the boys from out the window.
Firefighters got the call just before 3 this morning at 62nd and Paulina. You can see how chaotic the scene was. Dozens of firefighters and police helping the victims. An 8-year-old girl and 15-year-old boy died. 14 and 16-year-old boys are in stable condition at Comer Children's Hospital. A woman and a man suffered severe burns and are in critical condition at the University of Chicago Hospital. Investigators spent the day trying to determine the cause. Alderman Ray Lopez says they are fairly confident the flames were intentionally set. He indicated a possible beef between neighbors.
There are better ways to resolve issues when you don't get along with your neighbors, or if you have issues with somebody else. You don't set their home on fire. You don't endanger the lives of innocent children sleeping at midnight.
We reached out to DCFS. They're working to confirm the individuals involved. None are believed to be in youth care. Reporting in West Englewood, Sharday Gray, CBS News, Chicago.
Breaking 3 teens shot in 2 separate shootings on the west side. First, Chicago police say there were 2 18-year-olds who were shot during an argument with a driver outside of a gray car. This was near Austin and Thomas around 11:40 last night. Police said the driver took the 2 victims to the hospital where they are listed in fair condition, so they're expected to survive this shooting. Not clear, though, who fired the shots.
And about an hour later, police found a 17-year-old shot on a bed. Police say someone fired into a home near West End and Lotus around 12:30 in the morning. The teenager was hit in the chest and back and taken to the hospital in critical condition. No one's been arrested.
16 years gone, but never forgotten. A community comes together to honor a fallen Chicago police officer. With cheers and plenty of tears, family members and extended Chicago police family renamed a Chatham Street in tribute to Thomas Wortham IV. He died on this day back in 2010 while confronting a group of men trying to steal his motorcycle. His sister hopes people will honor her brother's memory by making the city safer.
The best way that we can honor Thomas is for less people to die. The best way we can honor Thomas is to remember what happened to him and refuse to allow them to keep doing this to other people.
Fellow officers also held a memorial roll call for Wortham after the street renaming.
So turned to Chicago police releasing some new video this morning as they asked for the public's help to identify a masked man they say shot and killed someone in the East Side neighborhood. Here is a look at that surveillance video we just got from May 11th that shows the masked person minutes before 3 men were shot. That happened in an abandoned lot near 99th and Ewing. A 28-year-old man died at the hospital while the 2 other men survived, but one was left in critical condition.
Every year, Illinois taxpayers are on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars paying for the after effects of gun crime. Expenses like ambulances, courtroom costs, and imprisonment. Families of victims are on the line for funerals, lost wages, and additional child care. Now there's a new push in Springfield to get gun manufacturers to foot some of those bills. Political reporter Chris Ty explains how this might work, but a warning, some of these images may be disturbing to some viewers.
I was exhausted with calling time of death on people
who looked like me.
It was in the ER at U Chicago Medicine in the middle of the night, in the middle of COVID, when it happened.
I've called the time of death on more people than I can remember.
Violence was spiking. Dr. Anthony Douglas was face to face with Chicago's gun violence victims in their final moments.
There's nothing that really prepares you mentally, emotionally for when 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 13, 16, 24, 60-year-olds look you in the eyes and ask you, are they going to die? Those things stick with you. You know, you don't forget, you know, being soaked in other people's blood at the end of the night.
So he began to sketch out an idea where gun makers whose products are involved in an accident or homicide pay into a state victims fund, a fund paid for by gun makers, then paid out to cover costs that taxpayers and victims' families currently pick up.
Medical care, law enforcement, judicial costs, funeral and burial expenses.
The idea has gained steam and has now become this, what's known as the Rifle Act.
We just need it now to be.
Now awaiting a vote in Springfield, it would have helped loved ones like Trevon Bosley.
I lost my brother Terrell Bosley to gun violence on April 4th, 2006. He was a gospel bass player who was shot and killed at church getting ready for band rehearsal.
He's helping push the bill through Springfield. If successful, advocates say gun makers would pick up 7% of the overall cost of gun violence in Illinois.
As it stands, they currently, don't pay anything, while us as taxpayers not only pay the emotional burden, but we pay the financial burden as well.
This industry socializes the public costs, but privatizes the profits.
Opponents of the Rifle Act, including the NRA, say it's unfair to make manufacturers pay, especially in cases where firearms are legally purchased, then illegally sold and used for crimes. It would also mean a likely jump in gun prices, which may be politically unpopular. Despite that, advocates say they have the votes in Springfield. But
we're in a re-election year, which means that it's challenging to have controversial bills be called for a vote and legislators to have to make a decision.
You're optimistic?
Very.
Optimistic that future families of gun violence won't have to endure what his family did.
What would your brother think about this?
I think my brother would be super excited to know that his little brother is continuing to fight and trying to make sure other families don't go through the same experience.
If this gets approved, it would be the first program of its kind anywhere in the country. Advocates are hoping to get this in under the legislative deadline this session, which would be May the 31st. They're hoping to put pressure on Senate President Don Harmon to make that happen. In the Loop, Chris Ty, CBS News, Chicago.
What started as a routine traffic stop ends with a suburban mayor in handcuffs. Now, in exclusive body camera video you'll see only here, you'll learn why. Our Sabrina Franza breaks it down.
The mayor of the village of Robbins tells us this traffic stop and eventual arrest was a case of driving while black, calling the stop unjust and racially motivated. It happened at 1:10 a.m. last Friday.
You got your driver's license and insurance?
Robbins Mayor Darren Bryant was behind the wheel of this white sedan. Calumet Park police pulled him over for making an illegal turn. They didn't tell him that, though. He eventually asked 15 times before he was later handcuffed and arrested for resisting.
What's the problem, sir? I'll tell you when I get your driver's license and insurance.
Calumet Park police asked him 10 times. Bryant didn't hand his ID or insurance over.
You can go from either verbal warning or just a written ticket, or you can be arrested.
He's warned, then asked.
Step out the car. Hold on.
Bryant doesn't.
Now you've been arrested for obstructing resistance.
Police pull him from the vehicle and place him under arrest.
You don't know who you're arresting right now.
After we learned that this arrest had happened, we reached out to the mayor of Robbins, who said he had his own video to share and also agreed to sit down with us and talk about it. Hello? Well, today we showed up to his office. He wasn't there. We received an email saying those plans had changed.
It also is just disturbing that you have a mayor of a municipality that instead of, if he really felt as if something wasn't right with the stop, the appropriate place to take that up is in court.
Attorneys for Calumet Park deny any claims that the arrest was racially motivated.
Saying that the mayor was stopped because he was driving while black, which is an insult.
They point out, and we checked.
It would have been nice to tell him. I think most officers do tell you why you're being pulled over, but they don't have to.
It is common practice for police officers to tell someone why they've been pulled over, but it's not legally required. Sabrina Franza, CBS News, Chicago.
In other news tonight, he is one of Chicago's most notorious gang leaders, and now his bid for freedom is up to Governor Pritzker. So, who is Larry Hoover, and what's behind his push for clemency? NBC5's Alex Maragos has this story.
Natalie, outside of Al Capone, Larry Hoover could go down in the record books as one of the most prolific and profitable gang leaders in Chicago history. He's one of the founders of the Gangster Disciples, but he spent over 50 years of his life behind bars. The question tonight, could that soon change? In 1974, Hoover was sentenced to 200 years in prison for the murder of William Pookie Young. And while he was in state prison, federal prosecutors say that he led the gang's operations, raking in hundreds of millions of dollars in drug sales and directing a string of violence on the streets of Chicago. And federal prosecutors won convictions that locked him up then in the so-called Supermax prison in 1994. And many of those years he spent in solitary confinement. That was until last spring, when President Trump commuted his federal sentence, and that placed Larry Hoover back in an Illinois cell. Now, Hoover's latest bid for freedom took a step on April 7th of this year. His family, his attorneys, and supporters asked the Illinois Prisoner Review Board to recommend clemency to Governor Pritzker. Now, the Cook County State's Attorney argued against clemency. They filed documents showing why he should not be let out of prison. Now, the recommendation that the review board reached is confidential, and it will remain that way. The governor has that recommendation now, and there is no deadline for him to make a decision on this. He can consider it as long as he likes. Now, Hoover's family and supporters say that the 75-year-old is remorseful. He's ready to help the community, and he suffers from some health problems. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office says that Hoover still represents a danger to the community, and the gang which he helped found is still present on the streets of Chicago. President Trump helped Hoover over one hurdle to freedom, but now the governor must decide if Hoover's finish line is drawn at home or in a prison cell. Natalie?
All right, thanks to Alex.
Thank you very much for the update. NBC5 investigates tonight what could be the beginning of the end for Chicago's deadliest drug cartel. For decades, the brutal Sinaloa cartel and its former kingpin, El Chapo, has held a tight grip, just about 80% of the street drug trafficking here in Chicago. But now there are some serious questions about whether that grip is slipping. Investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy joining us here to break it all down. Chuck?
Stefan, 4 El Chapo sons were put in charge of the Sinaloa cartel when their dad went to prison for life at the Supermax. This foursome, known as the Chapitos, instantly became America's most wanted. Their captures would be considered a grand slam for law enforcement. 2 were captured in recent years and have plea deals with federal prosecutors in Chicago. 2 others still in Mexico with targets on them. But tonight, law enforcement sources say they may be prepping to join their brothers in Chicago. The Sinaloa state has been a target of Mexican and American law enforcement for more than 50 years, since Joaquin El Chapo Guzman moved up through cartel ranks and eventually established the Sinaloa cartel. 10 years ago, when this firefight brought an end to Chapo's reign, the cartel started to unravel. His offspring, Los Chapitos, took over. Sons of Video and Joaquin both arrested in 2024 and brought to Chicago, where the family is under indictment after cornering the drug market here. Since then, the 2 remaining El Chapo sons, Ivan and Jesus, have become top DEA targets, each with capture bounties of $10 million. Now, with the screws tightening on corrupt public officials, law enforcement sources say the remaining 2 Chapitos are in secret negotiations on a possible plea deal and surrender in Chicago.
But I think there could be a couple of things going on. First and foremost, their 2 brothers are incarcerated and are cooperating at some level. So that may hasten their exit from Mexico. And at the same time, we've got to be careful here, Chuck, because this is the greatest cartel show on earth.
Retired Chicago Drug Enforcement Administration official Jack Riley is guarded until the last 2 sons are in custody. But Riley says there is motivation for a deal.
We've got to stop their political arm because that's kept them safe for 30, 40 years. And I think that's what they're after. And that's something clearly these two knuckleheads could give us.
Could you really imagine a time when we'd be talking about El Chapo locked up for life and potentially all of his sons who have been running the cartel in his wake also being in U.S. custody?
I can tell you when I started chasing him 20 years ago, I never thought we'd get him in custody. I really believed that he would be killed. We've been at this long enough now in terms of Sinaloa and Chapo and his offsprings that we really could see the final chapter of this come to a close.
Riley and other drug investigators tonight say they know there are other cartels in Mexico ready to fill the void left by a Sinaloa Grand Slam. But as Chapo's dynasty is dialed down, U.S. justice officials are penetrating Mexican politics to make it harder on the next regime, arresting 10 current or former government and law enforcement officials on drug and corruption charges. They are now in custody in New York, including the former head of public safety in Sinaloa. He's accused of taking $100,000 from the cartel each month.
Oof. Wow. Okay. But a real possibility that we may be seeing the end of this cartel.
It sure seems that way at this point.
Wow. Thanks,
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Coming up, a state's attorney launching a new effort designed to reduce crime on public transportation. How will it be different than other task forces outlined over the last year? Charlie Wojciechowski went in search of answers, and he reports that this one will focus on prosecutions.
At the Roosevelt CTA station in the South Loop, Chicago police officers are on duty, and a police dog is at the ready. Still, passengers like this man say they don't feel completely safe.
People don't feel safe. You know, when you don't feel safe and you have to get places, the behavior that's being displayed out here gets in the way of that.
Okay, the passengers burned all over their body. They're burned all over their body.
Riders still remember the November attack last year that left a 26-year-old woman with severe burns after a man with an extended criminal record doused her with gasoline and set her on fire. He was on electronic monitoring at the time. Now the Cook County State's Attorney is forming a new regional transit task force to share resources and crack down on the prosecution of violent offenders by making sure judges know everything they can about why they need to be detained.
The more effective we are going to be, not just in prosecutions, but in ensuring that people who present a danger to the public are detained.
To crack down on repeat offenders and misdemeanor crimes, the state's attorney says she's going to ask judges to implement a stay-away plan, demanding that offender stay away from a particular station or a particular bus line in the future. Eileen O'Neill Burke will also step up the enforcement of misdemeanors, which she says can trigger the availability of mental health services. The most recent numbers show that crime is decreasing overall in the CTA, with homicides, shooting incidents, and robberies down from the same time last year. But criminal sexual assaults and aggravated batteries are up. The new task force, which includes the CTA, Chicago Police, Cook County Sheriff's Police, and federal agencies, will meet for the first time next week, only months before an entirely new authority will take over responsibility for overseeing and funding public transportation in northern Illinois. In the South Loop, Charlie Wojciechowski, NBC5 News.
Well, we expect to learn new details today about a push to improve safety on Chicago transit, the buses and trains specifically.
Yeah, a team from the Cook County State's Attorney's Office recently passed flyers out about their efforts to prosecute transit crimes, and now they're creating a task force to stop trouble in its tracks. Our Lauren Victory is live for us at the Jefferson Blue Line station with more details. Lauren, what's this all about?
Good morning, Marissa. Good morning, Adrena. Well, this afternoon's press conference is all about a new regional crime-fighting team on the transit line. That means buses and trains involving law enforcement. It's another step for CTA safety, which we know the Trump administration has been watching closely and has threatened to pull funding if safety doesn't improve. Well, the recent arrest of Linnell Fields doesn't help the CTA's reputation. Fields is accused of hijacking a bus at Knife Point last week. Sources tell us the CTA employee was forced to drive 7 miles before Fields escaped out of a window. A recent CTA safety plan called for a 75% increase in police patrols on buses and trains. That bump includes more hours from Chicago Police public transit officers, doubling CTA assignments for off-duty cops, and bringing in Cook County Sheriff's deputies. The acting president of the CTA shared more details last week.
We are going to be bringing pilots
that are involving violence intervention specialists and crisis intervention specialists on the system. Right now, we are refining the location of those resources. We are refining exactly which firms we are working with on those resources.
At least some private security companies are not part of the new CTA safety efforts. A few weeks ago, the CTA canceled contracts for hundreds of unarmed guards. They're replacing them with police patrols. Now, today's announcement, where we could learn some more details about how this is all coming together, comes just a few days after CTA revised its numbers for 2025. Ridership was actually much higher than they previously thought. They were 19 million rides short. I'm Lauren Victor reporting live at the Jefferson Blue Line stop, CBS News Chicago.
Lauren, thank you so much.
Big moves today to try to make our transit system safer. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office shared details on their new task force that is dedicated to fighting crime. It's an issue CBS News Chicago investigator Tara Molina has been covering for years now. And Tara, I know we heard from leaders from all offices on this development today.
Yeah, that's right, Marie. From the Cook County State's Attorney to the current acting president of the CTA, they say that this brand new task force will strengthen prosecution and ultimately make our transit system safer. I asked about some of the recent issues we've been tracking.
We need to have a safe public transportation system.
Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke standing in the Roosevelt CTA station, flanked by acting president of the Chicago Transit Authority and the Cook County Sheriff's Office Chief of Police.
We cannot let up on the work to ensure safety on CTA.
The CTA's acting president calling this task force an unprecedented collaborative move in Chicago. The Regional Transit Task Force, established to fight transit-related crime across Chicago and Cook County. The task force, made up of all of the agencies on your screen and fully dialed into law enforcement. Partnering with the Cook County Sheriff's Office and the Chicago Police Department, also partnering with federal agencies, the U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, DEA, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
We are committed to continue collaboration with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and all of our law enforcement partners to reduce crime on the CTA.
And while there was a focus on where transit crime has declined, we took a closer look at the numbers and found while overall violent crime is down on the system, both aggravated batteries and criminal sexual assaults are up.
There are two ways to deter crime: the likelihood of being caught and the likelihood of being punished. By working with law enforcement, we are upping the likelihood in both scenarios.
I asked the Cook County State's Attorney the message she wants this move to send to a riding public that doesn't have confidence in the safety of the system.
We have heard you. We share your concerns, and we are doing everything we possibly can to make this the safest big city in America. And that starts with our transit system.
So how does this task force plan to deal with repeat offenders on the system, specifically the violent repeat offenders that we've told you are really tricky to crack down on and police? I asked those leaders that question, and we'll have more on that coming up tonight at 6. For now, reporting live in the South Loop, I'm Tara Molina, CBS News Chicago investigators.
Thank you, Tara. New at 4, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling is putting parents on notice over teen takeovers.
You know, it's not parent shaming to say that you should know where your children are at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night when you have a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old. They're vulnerable. When they go into these environments, they can be harmed. They can even be killed, and that has happened.
Superintendent Snelling was the guest of honor at City Club Chicago. He said that families need to play a bigger role in keeping their kids out of trouble this summer.
Now to an inspiring story. A Chicago man who was shot as a teenager is turning his trauma into purpose. Raymond Gordon was just 16 years old when gunfire ended his dreams of playing sports. But his recovery at Stroger Hospital introduced him to social workers who helped him heal mentally and physically. NBC5's Christian Farr explains how this tragedy put Raymond on the path to helping others heal too.
I live the dream, sleep, eat football.
While sitting in a trauma room at Cook County Stroger Hospital, Raymond Gordon talked about the tragic moment nearly 10 years ago that landed him in a room just like this one.
Some guys had pulled up and just started shooting at us, and then it was a shock.
It was on March 27th, 2017, when Raymond was shot here in Chicago's Austin neighborhood. He was waiting to catch the bus to head to school with a fellow classmate and friend.
It hit me in my main artery, and I was like, ah. So as I was running, it felt like I jumped in a pool, man. Like, how you got out of the pool, and it was like blood.
Raymond was rushed to Stroger, where doctors treated the wounds that unfortunately ended his athletic career. But it was the social workers who helped build him back up.
They was like kind of helped me realize my strengths. And so after I realized my strengths, that kind of made me get my sense of worth back.
Andy Wheeler was one of many social workers who met with Raymond during his month-long recovery and helped him see life beyond sports.
Well, we provided somebody the space for them to kind of discover what is already inside of them. And so our job isn't to really help them, it's to offer them the space for them to re-engage with what is important to them and what their life can be moving forward.
The attention that Wheeler and the other social workers at Stroger gave to Raymond during his recovery influenced him so much that he got his undergrad degree in social work.
Raymond,
And earlier this month, the now 24-year-old earned his master's in social work from Governor State University. Raymond's goal is to become just like Wheeler, a trauma intervention specialist.
A lot of people go through these things, but they don't understand a way out. They think this is the end of the road, like I did. But I can be living proof of that to show them that it isn't a living road, it's just a different way of life.
At Stroger Hospital, Christian Farr, NBC 5 News.
All right, Christian, thank you so much.
Has been charged with killing his ex-husband's new husband. He then allegedly turned the gun on himself. The shooting happened last Thursday morning on Chicago's north side. Rob Hughes talking to the victim's brother, who says the two had a past history of problems.
How do we tell Mom? I said, she's going to be so brokenhearted. And I said to him, I said, she's going to die of a broken heart when you tell her.
Russell Calzaretta recounting the phone calls with family when he learned his older brother, Nick Calzaretta, had been shot and killed. It happened just before 7:20 a.m. last Thursday in the Edgewater neighborhood. The alleged shooter, Amar Husamo, charged with killing his ex-husband's new husband, Nick.
Nick had shared with me that he was harassing him and Cam and would send endless text messages, very harassing messages to Nick.
In September of 2023, Nick obtained a protective order, barring Husamo from contacting him. But eventually, the order was terminated in April of 2024, though it's not clear why. Nick's brother wonders, even if the protective order had been extended, would it have been enough?
What was Nick supposed to do? You know, Amar's coming at him with a gun. Is Nick supposed to hold up the protective order? And that is his shield.
Benna Crawford with Legal Aid Chicago admits the judicial process surrounding protective orders can be grueling.
I think it can be a really demoralizing process to have to fight so hard to keep yourself safe when you're presented with such a serious safety threat. And
Still, she says this case is a good reminder that pursuing protective orders to the fullest extent helps judges revoke FOID cards and law enforcement to confiscate guns when the victim's safety is at risk.
Getting firearms out of the hands of people who engage in this type of behavior can be the difference between whether somebody lives or dies.
Russell says it's hard to think of his older brother becoming a statistic, hoping Illinois lawmakers will take notice of this case. And in the meantime, he'll hold on to the memories.
He had this like belly laugh that no matter where you were in the house, wherever you were, you could hear his laugh.
Rob Hughes, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
A man has been sentenced to 18 years in prison for a shooting at the Oak Brook Shopping Center 2 days before Christmas in 2021. 33-year-old Steve Lane pleaded guilty to one count of armed violence. Prosecutors say Lane and Tyron Williams got into an argument at the mall and ended up shooting. Williams and 4 innocent bystanders were hit. Williams was later killed in a separate incident in Chicago.
Several South Side Chicago businesses are cleaning up after being targeted in a smash and grab spree early this morning.
WGN's Jeremy Ross has exclusive video that shows several of the break-ins as they happen.
Businesses we spoke with believe that the thieves used stolen cars for these crimes, using a hammer or a club or throwing a car in reverse.
It was a big crash. It was a big crash.
This Pilsen BP got the wrong end of an SUV Monday morning. The vehicle backed into the building not once, but twice. And a crew in black sweats and hoods backed out with an ATM while workers sheltered behind glass. But it wasn't without strain and pain. The group initially tried to wrap a chain around the money machine and attach it to the car's axle. That plan failed, so the group bailed and resorted to violent vehicle force.
It's disappointing, you know. It's like it's the community, you know. Why? It's just why.
Anthony Adame works nearby and heard the crash and police response. He knows some of the workers inside. Another BP was hit around the same time. Thieves also targeted the ATM, but weren't as successful. The damage on Cermak was just as violent.
Took a sledgehammer to the front door, climbed over the counter, tried to get into the registers. They couldn't. Guess they got scared and took off.
For here to go. Oh yeah, for here. Despite the damage, Jabril Siori is still taking orders at Steve's Bite. While the business continues, the damage is done.
Just always got to watch out.
You had to replace the door. That's not cheap, is it?
No, it's not, no.
The kind of door knock no business wants, and moving violations that make business owners feel
violated because, it's a place of business. I hope they get, arrested and reprimanded for what they did.
The hope is, with all the surveillance video available to police, that they'll be able to find something in that video that will help lead them to making arrests. On the near South Side, Jeremy Ross, WGN News.
We begin here at 5 in Skokie, where police are investigating a shooting that took the life of a 21-year-old early this morning.
WGN's Christine Flores is live from the Skokie police station with the very latest on this case. Christine.
Ben and Lourdes, good evening. Officials have not released the identity of the 21-year-old victim, but they did say that he suffered from multiple gunshot wounds. Now, this all happened during a time when a lot of neighbors were getting ready for work and school.
When I first woke up this morning, I heard 3 quick shots. First thought it was some fireworks.
Alfredo Martinez lives near the scene on La Crosse Avenue and Grove Street. Skokie police say it was just before 6:20 Tuesday morning when a 21-year-old male was found suffering from multiple gunshot wounds.
And that's when I realized it was gunshots, because I heard screamings and then I heard police cars going up and down the streets.
Officials say first aid was rendered by emergency personnel and the victim was transported to a local hospital. He was later pronounced dead. Hours later, it still remained an active scene as investigators were walking through the area for evidence. Skokie police say the North Region Violent Crimes Task Force is assisting in the investigation.
It's really calm and quiet neighborhood, and stuff like this never really happens. It's really, really calm here.
Police say there is no threat to the public, and they say this is an active investigation. They're also asking anyone with information on this incident to contact them. For now, reporting live in Skokie, Christine Flores, WGN News.
Chicago police released video of the person they say is responsible for a deadly shooting in the East Side neighborhood. That suspect is wearing dark-colored clothing, was captured on a security camera on May 11th. You see some of that video there. The shooting happened at 5:40 in the evening near 99th and Ewing. 3 people were standing outside when someone opened fire on them. 1 person died. The others were reported to be in good condition. You can call police if you have any information.
And the man accused of killing Chicago police officer John Bartholomew and injuring his partner was back in court today. Alfonso Talley was formally indicted on felony charges, including murder, attempted murder, and armed robbery. During today's hearing, his public defender objected to the state's request for a DNA sample. However, the judge denying that motion today. Talley is due back in court on June 3rd.
2 men appeared in court today in a case that led to the shooting death of a Chicago police officer and the wounding of another. The indictments of Alfonso Talley and Jaron Tate were announced today. They are accused of robbing a woman in Albany Park last month. Talley was taken to a hospital after his arrest, and prosecutors say he was hiding a gun that he used to shoot and kill Officer John Bartholomew and injure his partner. Both Talley and Tate face armed robbery charges. Talley is also charged with murder and attempted murder. Both remain in custody and will be back in court sometime next month.
Tonight, the family of a Chicago police officer tells us he's lucky to be alive after being attacked by several suspects in McKinley Park. Officer Kevin Mangan has a long recovery road ahead because of the injuries he suffered. In an interview you'll see only on CBS News Chicago tonight, his family tells our Jermont Terry what happened. Jermont is live at Chicago Police Headquarters now.
Erica, tonight, two people, both a man and woman, are in custody. Charges are pending for beating this Chicago police officer. The attack so bad, the cop's teeth were knocked out. But the officer's family insisting he was targeted simply because he wore the uniform. Tuesday night near 37th and Marshfield, just off Ashland, this frantic call hit police radio.
10-1 EMS for a police officer.
The officer needing medical attention, Officer Kevin Mangan, after police say he was attacked on the job. The officer's mother received a call telling her
that he was assaulted and in a fight, but it was really bad.
Officer Mangan, according to family, was first sucker punched by a man wearing brass knuckles.
Kevin was writing a ticket and he had brass knuckles. So he was arrested with brass knuckles. He had brass knuckles. And I'm pretty sure brass knuckles are illegal in every state.
Yet the family says when the 29-year-old officer was hit with those brass knuckles, those blows left his mouth badly damaged.
He had missing teeth and they were embedded in the roof of his mouth.
And his face is swollen, so it was all mostly facial injuries.
Chicago police tell us the officer responded because 3 people pulled up and blocked an ambulance from leaving a separate scene in McKinley Park. When Officer Mangan started writing that ticket, police say one woman started banging on his squad car, then another man and woman started attacking him with those brass knuckles.
All that takes is one punch. I mean, you could kill somebody. He's lucky that he's alive.
Since the attackers were not part of the original call, the family insisting their loved one was targeted simply because he wears the badge. Listen to what they say the man yelled during the attack.
A bunch of expletives and how much he beats up POs, and he likes to beat up POs.
The family says the lack of respect law enforcement faces daily is growing, and the message must be sent.
To me, this is attempted murder, and I hope that that's what he gets charged with.
Now, police say the investigation is ongoing. As for Officer Mangan, he cannot chew any solid foods for several months and will be off work even longer. Live at Chicago Police Headquarters tonight, Jermont Terry, CBS News, Chicago. Erica?
Jermont, thank you.
Well, the family was very emotional as we heard some of the details of this attack in court. We also learned that Officer Kevin Mangan suffered some serious injuries to his mouth and jaw that will prevent him from working or eating solid foods for months. A judge ordering both defendants to remain behind bars until trial as we learned a little bit more about this alleged attack, which all appear to have started with the officers writing a parking ticket. Prosecutors accuse Michael Sofer and Monica Mejia of attacking Officer Mangan and his partner Tuesday near 37th Street in McKinley Park. The defendants are siblings and had been parked on that street near a scene where an ambulance and CPD squad car were parked at the time. Now, there was apparently a dispute about the officers writing a ticket for the defendants, allegedly blocking police vehicles, preventing them to leave. Mejia allegedly yelled at the officer and repeatedly tapped on his window before getting into a physical altercation with Officer Mangan. That's when Sofer allegedly stepped in and started punching that officer, threw him to the ground, and allegedly used brass knuckles as he continued to punch him in the face. Officer Mangan's family in court today saying this is the first step of justice being served.
These are violent criminals, career criminals, and they should have never been let out for their previous crimes. Never. I feel so relieved that they're behind bars.
Now, Mejia, the woman accused of this assault in this case, has a history of convictions for assaulting police officers in this area, and the man, Sofer, is a registered sex offender. Both are due back in court on May 26th.
A man and a woman are now charged with battery to a police officer. CPD responded to a call of an assault in progress Tuesday night in McKinley Park, and while they were there, they say Monica Mejia tried to damage their vehicle. Then they say she and Michael Sofer battered officers before being taken into custody. One officer was hospitalized. Sofer is also charged with a violation connected to the sex offender registry.
Start off with that injured officer. Joni Lum joins us live from the southwest side to get into what exactly happened and the rap sheet of that suspect. Joni.
Hi, Leslie. Both suspects have violent histories and criminal arrest records. One reportedly bragged that he beats up police officers. That officer is hospitalized after being punched in the face repeatedly. He apparently has a long road of recovery ahead. 33-year-old Michael Sofer is charged with 3 felonies: causing great bodily harm to a peace officer, possession of a weapon, and violating the sex offender registry. He reportedly has 5 prior arrests, one for assaulting a 5-year-old. 30-year-old Monica Mejia is charged with 2 felonies and an attempt to damage a police car. The attack happened in McKinley Park. Officer Kevin Mangan had responded to a separate call and was clearing the way for an approaching ambulance when Sofer allegedly attacked him with brass knuckles, knocking out the officer's teeth. The 16-page police report says that the violence caused facial trauma and disfigurement. Family, friends, and law enforcement attended the hearing to send a message to the court. The officer's mother said it was difficult, but she had to.
This is pure agony for me. I feel really happy that justice for once was served with these 2 career criminals and that they were detained and not let out on electronic monitoring.
The gentleman that punched Kevin so violently is a 5-time felon. His sister, his co-defendant, has a history of attacking law enforcement, and yet both were walking around free as if they don't have a care in the world.
And Sofer is listed as a non-compliant sex offender. Officer Mangan's mother said she is always worried about her son's safety. She sleeps with her cell phone on her. But she says he loves his job and he is likely to want to return to patrol. Reporting live at the Layton Criminal Courthouse, Joni Lum, Fox Chicago.
While announcing a revised summer safety plan, Chicago leaders are committing to keeping the city safe, including its youth, and calling on parents to do their part.
A community fair in back of the yard was the backdrop of an initiative against crime in Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson announcing the 2026 Summer Safety Strategy, a citywide plan that will focus on neighborhoods, seeing ongoing crime while working with community partners to engage with youth by providing summer jobs and safe spaces for young people.
We know that our many communities over the summer can experience fear, and pain, and loss. But today is a reminder that Chicago is meeting this moment together.
According to CPD crime statistics from April, analyzed by our ABC7 data team, overall violent crime in the city, including murders, carjackings, and shootings, are down compared to the average of the prior 3 years. But the city is still dealing with ongoing so-called teen takeovers that have turned violent. The most recent one in Hyde Park last weekend, where police say a 14-year-old girl was arrested after attacking an officer while refusing to leave the area.
There are times when everyone on the scene, including the police, including the children who are there, are in serious danger when we know that there's someone out there with guns.
We're having to find ways to make parents be parents.
And it's the adults' support that philanthropist Early Walker says is vital and is reviving his teen text alert to help curb these teen trends.
You sign up for the teen app, text app, and then basically it alerts you, of something that's possibly going to be taking place.
And we'll have more information on how you can sign up for these teen text alerts on our news app and website. Now, regarding this upcoming holiday weekend, Chicago Superintendent Larry Snelling says days off for his officers have been canceled to provide more resources in targeted areas like beaches, downtown, and business corridors.
A 14-year-old girl is now charged in connection to a teen takeover in Hyde Park last night. Police say she did not follow their warning to leave the area and hit an officer in the forehead. He had minor injuries. The teen faces 2 felony counts. Members of the Chi-Town Crime Chasers group say there were 300 teens in the lakefront. That group told us that they're at North Avenue Beach right now, hoping to try to talk to people and deter another teen takeover.
Breaking overnight, a person is in custody for a deadly stabbing on the far northwest side. Police say there was a fight and a 24-year-old man was stabbed in the face. Happened around 11:15 last night near Harlem and Peterson. Police say they did find a knife where this all happened.
And now to some breaking news right now on the south side, where a man has been shot inside a barber shop in Washington Park. Police say an armed suspect apparently walked into the shop at Garfield in Indiana and simply opened fire. The victim was hit in the arm and hand, is expected to be okay. So far, no one is in custody.
Begin here the 4 o'clock with some breaking news. A shooting inside a Washington Park business leaves one person injured. I want to go straight to WGN's Jeremy Ross, who's live at that scene with the very latest. What are we finding out at this hour, Jeremy?
All of this taking place just before 1 this afternoon. Now, the area behind us was chock full of police tape. They just cleaned it all up. That, as investigators try to determine what happened.
It's concerning, but I do appreciate the presence of the police, and I guess they responded quickly.
Shots were fired in this stretch of commercial space. It is home to a barber shop and salon stores. The sounds heard at Michigan and Garfield rattled those nearby. Many not expecting officers and a crime scene in an area focused on hair and beauty.
This is the result.
When you see this, how does it make you feel?
A little concerned, just for the safety of everyone else that's on the block, including like our customers as well.
Bianca Martin works nearby and saw the police build up just after 1 p.m. She says the business police walk into and out of normally offers salon space for nails, lashes, and tattoos. But crime tape was something no one here asked for. Police say a 24-year-old man was inside when an unknown shooter entered and fired. The victim was struck in the arm and hand.
We're all businesses, so honestly, all you see here is like foot traffic of people coming to get services done, get their hair cut, get their hair colored. So this is usually not an issue. This has never happened since the 3 years that we've been here.
Now, police are telling us that that victim is in good condition. No word on if anyone is in custody in connection with this ongoing investigation. We are live in Washington Park. Jeremy Ross, WGN News.
An armed robbery at a busy Venezuelan restaurant, and it's all caught on camera.
Employees are terrified, and the manager says he is thankful he survived. Leslie Moreno is in West Suburban Melrose Park. And Leslie, walk us through exactly what happened here.
Tia Terrence, good evening. Yeah, the owner says he's still trying to process what happened. It was a very scary experience for him and the customers that were inside. He says the thief got away with $10,000 worth of jewelry. It was all caught on camera. Take a look there. This all happened on May 12th here at Arepa Express, a Venezuelan restaurant on Lake Street in Melrose Park. Surveillance video shows the suspect walking in and out of the restaurant multiple times before police say he finally pulled out a handgun and confronted the owner. The owner tells us the man came in and had dinner first. He paid, then left. Minutes later, he came back and demanded the owner give up his jewelry. The owner says the suspect got away with a golden diamond chain and bracelet and his college graduation ring gifted to him by his parents. The owners tell us that he's still very shaken by the encounter. It says it's something he never imagined would happen inside his restaurant.
I thought he was going to shoot me. When somebody pulls out a gun, it's because they're going to use it. I thought, God help me. At the same time, I just told myself to relax. He told me to get on the floor, so I did. After a few seconds, a customer came over to help me get up and tell me that he was gone.
Melrose Park police say no arrests have been made, but they do have a suspect of interest that they are actively pursuing, and they do believe he lives in this same community. We're live here in Melrose Park. Leslie Moreno, Fox, Chicago.
All right, Leslie, thank you.
This was as brazen of an armed robbery as you could possibly imagine. Not only did the suspect not cover his face in a restaurant where there were surveillance cameras clearly visible all over the place, he used a credit card to pay for his meal before pulling a gun on the restaurant owner, who has asked us to not show his face and use his first name only for purposes of this story. It was just after 5:30 p.m. last Tuesday at Arepa Express in Melrose Park. Surveillance video shows the moment the man in the baseball cap pulls a gun, cocks it, and points it at the restaurant's owner, Julian, who just an hour earlier had served the would-be thief as he sat down for lunch at the Venezuelan restaurant. I had no idea what he was going to do. He ordered an empanada and a soda, says Julian in Spanish. The gunman, he says, paid his his bill with a credit card before leaving and returning to the restaurant to use the bathroom a short time later. He then came back a third time once the restaurant was nearly empty. I wasn't at the register. He called me over. When he pulled the gun, I thought he was going to shoot me. He asked for all my gold jewelry, says Julian, who tells us the items were valued at close to $10,000 and included a necklace, a bracelet, and 2 rings, among them his law school graduation ring from Venezuela. He tells us the gunman did not ask for anything else, and while Julian doesn't remember seeing the suspect before, he believes he was targeted. He's Venezuelan too, and that hurts. Most of us are here to work, not to hurt anybody, says Julian, who's owned a Repa Express for 2 years now. It's been hard work, and he hopes the suspect is caught soon. I hope anyone who recognizes him will call police so he can be arrested and not hurt anyone else. A spokesperson with the Melrose Park Police Department telling ABC7 this afternoon they believe they have identified their suspect and are actively searching for him. In Melrose Park, I'm Michelle Gallardo, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Michelle, thank you. And news.